This is what you can really, truly, actually, in real life, in the real world, expect to gain as an adult. Coach Greg, and I am here to answer the question, how much muscle can you put on naturally in 1 year? So I'm going to get right into it. Before I explain this, I'm not a doctor. I'm a kinesiologist, so I actually know the freaking answer. I actually know this. Doctor, come on. Now, the reason that it really sparked my interest to do this was this stupid, moronic, insane picture that was circulating from IG Men's Health or whatever, and everyone was sending to me, and my clients are writing me and saying, how come I'm putting on the muscle that these guys are putting on? And it says, now get this, a beginner should be gaining 15 to 30 pounds of muscle in their first year of training. Oh, I did shitty this year. I only put on 15 pounds of muscle. Oh, I did real good. I got 30 in this year. Then it says in your second year that you should expect to gain 10 to 15 pounds of muscle in your second year of training. Then after that, 3 to 6 pounds. So let's analyze this. So after 2 years, if you have shitty genetics, you've put on 25 pounds of muscle. This is natural. Did I point that out? How much you'd gain natural. If you have really good genetics, you put on 45 pounds of muscle. I haven't put on 45 pounds of muscle my whole freaking life. Come on, this is the stupidest thing I've ever seen. 3 to 6 pounds in advance after 3 years. Well, that one's at least close. So, and if you look at the picture, you go from pipsqueak twerp to friggin' Mr. Olympia competitor here in 3 years. And literally, if you put on that much muscle, you literally would be that much more impressive. That is so far off. And the problem is you're going to join the gym and you're going to get discouraged because you're not even going to come close to even the bottom of these results. 15 to 30 pounds of muscle in your first year training. But then, Greg, it's true. I gained 20 pounds in my first year training. I was 14. I was 17. Okay, look, people, it doesn't include if you went through puberty and grew 8 inches. I put on 40 pounds from when I was 13, and I also grew 10 inches. I went from 90-some pounds or whatever to 130 pounds when I was 13. I was tall. I was a tall guy in class when I was 13. I went through puberty first. I got to experience being the tall basketball guy. I mean, not a giant, but I was the second tallest kid in my class after being the second shortest my whole life. The shortest being my twin. So, also, if you just came out of a concentration camp and you were on a deserted island with no food for 4 months, or you were on the show Survivor and you weren't able to eat and you lost 50 pounds, you likely could gain this kind of weight to 15 to 30 pounds in the first year. But not if you're a normal human being. So I'm talking about you join the gym and you're an adult. You're not a 12-year-old that's training. You're not 13 years old and you start training. Okay? I mean, when I first started training, I was 10. I weighed 80 pounds. Technically, I put on a lot more than 40 pounds in my life of training. But I mean, you have to count that I was only like 4 foot tall. So it's not really fair to say that. But this is what you can really, truly, actually, in real life, in the real world, expect to gain as an adult. All right, first of all, newbie gains is a real thing. It's true. In the first year of training, you're kind of at your smallest. And you're going to gain the most amount of muscle in that first year because your muscles are the furthest away from your genetic potential. Your genetic potential is up here. The closer you get to that, the harder it is to put muscle on. When you first start training, you're down here. Very easy to go up fast at the start. After 10 years of training and you're up there, you don't have much to grow. You're not going to gain significant muscle every year. after you get closer and closer and closer to your genetic ceiling. So how much can you expect to gain in your first year? 8 to 12 pounds. That's if you have good genetics, as in above average genetics, as in excellent genetics. 8 to 12 pounds. 12 pounds would be like really good genetics. So if you put on 12 pounds of muscle in your first year, I don't care if you're 20 years old, you're 28 years old, you're 40 years old, doesn't matter. You train the first year, you train hard, you train right, and you should put on 8 to 12 pounds. Is everyone going to put that much muscle on? No, those are good genetics. Poor genetics expect to gain half of that, so around 4 to 6 pounds. So if you gain less than 4 to 6 pounds in your first year of training, you really need to hire a coach or start figuring something out, because you're probably doing it all wrong. Because even people with poor genetics should gain that much. 8 to 12. Well, what if you gain 20? Chances are a lot of it is fat. A lot of it is fat. People are clueless. They see the muscles getting bigger, they put on some weight, and they don't understand it's not all pure muscle. A lot of it is fat and you don't know it. How do I know this? Well, so many bodybuilders in the off season, that maybe they're 200 pounds when they compete, and let's say they're 6'2", 200 pounds, they compete, and then in their off season, they're 240. And they're like, yeah, I put on 40 pounds, but like probably half is muscle, only half's fat. It's probably 35 pounds of fat and 5 pounds of muscle. But they don't realize it. Some of it's water, glycogen, all that stuff. So chances are you are gaining less than you think, less quality muscle tissue than you think, okay? Now, what about women? Expect to gain about half what a man will gain. Why? It's not fair. You're picking on us. Women have less testosterone. Women are smaller. The chances of you gaining the same amount of muscle as a man, very, very slim. Very, very small. Now, there are outliers. Outliers, extremes and freaks of nature out there. 1 in a millions. You know, the Ronnie Colemans of the world, okay? The freaks that are just like unbelievable, and they gain 20 pounds of muscle in their first year. Yeah, there's some, but don't expect it to be you. There's some guys that are 7'3", but they're rare. They happen. Watch the NBA. Doesn't mean it's normal. It's freakish if that happens, okay? It's not likely to be happening. But my training partner put on 20 pounds. You're probably training with a training partner who's not natural, who's lying to you. Most people lie about taking PEDs. Most, as in way more than half. Not some lie, not half lie. 90% are lying. They're not going to come out and tell you, oh, by the way, I take this and that and that, especially if it's illegal in your country. They're not going to admit it to their wives, girlfriends, friends, parents, brother. Lies. So don't think that just because your buddy gained 20 and he's natural and you know it because he's your friend, he would tell you. No. Just like your friends don't all tell you if they're having gay thoughts about you. They're not telling you. It's a secret in their own brain. Just like people think and fantasize about crazy stuff. They're not telling you. They're not explaining how much anal sex they have all the time. They're keeping this stuff to themselves, just like their performance-enhancing use. So don't think that everyone is out there sharing every single little secret with you. No, you're not that important to them. You think you are, but you're not. Second year of training, year number 2. 6 to 8 pounds of muscle. Less. Why? Because genetic ceiling's here, you started here, you're now bumped up to here. You're closer to your limit, harder to gain muscle. Less muscle. 6 to 8 pounds, great genetics. Poop genetics, 3 to 4 pounds. Okay? Year 3. You've already got 2 years in. You've got 1 in, bloof, 2 in, bloof. You're getting harder. It's higher, closer to your limit. You're only going to gain 4 to 6 pounds, even with really good genetics. The gains are slowing. And then every year after that, with good genetics, expect to gain into 3 to 4 pounds of muscle range and 1 to 2 poor. My experiences, I consider myself elite level, top tier, really freakish genetics. 1 in 1,000 or more persons are gonna have genetics like me. I'm not trying to brag. I'm just trying to be honest and tell you my genetics are obviously better than average. I have world records and stuff, and I was strong as a 13-year-old. You know, I was benching over 230, 232 at 128 pounds, stuff like that. Just so you know, I gained about 3 pounds of muscle per year in my 20s. And I said, I have great genetics. And I was gaining 3 pounds of muscle a year. Then I listened to my friends. I'm only gaining like 5 pounds of muscle a year because I'm a hard gainer. I'm like, a hard gainer? You gain 5 pounds of muscle a year? I only gain 3, and I consider myself easy gainer. You're saying, there's no such thing as hard gainer easier. Yes, there is. If your genetics are really good and you gain muscle easily, you're called an easy gainer. If your genetics suck and you can't build muscle, you're a hard gainer. How do you know what type you are? Oh, there's body types. Ectomorph, mesomorph, endomorph. Oh, that's not a thing. Yes, it is. We're all on a spectrum of certain amounts of things. We all have genetic propensities to be good or bad at certain things. I suck at technology. I'm very good at math, good at sports. So certain things I'm born to be better at, okay? Building muscle, I was born to be good at. It's something I did very easily. I got strong really easily. Other people are born to be marathon runners. I tried to be that runner. I was a swim team, run team, all the teams, triathlons, all that stuff, long distance, trained my ass off, got pretty good because I trained my ass off, but not that good. But then when I put my effort into weightlifting, holy goodness, my results were crazy. But only 3 pounds of muscle per year. Now, yes, I gained faster than that early on, but I was a kid, so I don't really count that like as a 10-year-old, 11. It's too hard to analyze. Now, what about when I took steroids? Yeah, I put on like 15 pounds in a year, but that's not the same. That's like a whole nother level. So if you're not natural, the title of the video is how much muscle can you gain naturally? This is not about enhance. If you enhance it, obviously you can be way more. You can go past your genetic limit. Now, as you get closer and closer to that genetic limit, your gains are gonna slow. So like when I got to like near the end, I was like, I think I gained a pound this year, but I'm not even sure. I couldn't even tell. I wasn't getting stronger, bigger. It just was stopping, okay? That's why I ended up taking the anabolics, because I wanted IPU Pro card. Back then, you wouldn't get pro cards if you're natural, even though you won the natural shows. Now it's a whole different thing, and there's 50,000 weight classes and divisions, and it's way easier to get a pro card, but that's besides the point. If you're 6'6" and 250 pounds to start, and you're big, chances are it's going to be easier if you gain muscle than if you're like 4'6" and 100 pounds to start. If you're 4'6" and 100 pounds, don't expect to gain 8 to 12. You're going to have more of the really bad genetics to put on muscle, okay? If you're built like a stick, don't think that it's going to be easy for you to put on muscle and you're going to go and look like David Lade. Look at David Lade's pictures when he used to get scrawny little thing. That's called poor genetics for building muscle. It's not like he was all jacked up and huge at 13, so he would expect to gain small amounts of muscle. Not normal to just gain huge amounts of muscle, okay? So don't think that you're doing something wrong just because you don't gain the amount of muscle that these stupid pictures on the internet say you should gain. And stop looking at you can look and research all you like, but there's these stupid moronic formulas and stuff on the internet, like fat-free mass index saying, well, the most amount of muscle you can get at your height is this amount at this fat. That's made up, invented stuff based on bodies from the 1950s and so on. It's just moronic. I looked up one chart and it said at my height, the most you can be ripped is 149 pounds natural. I was like, are you freaking kidding me? I was way bigger than 149 pounds natural. It's like these stupid charts that just say, well, based on this and your height and your weight, you can't be as big as you are, so you're not natural. Some guys are freaking freaks and they have all this muscle and they can do it. Picture a normal built guy. Normal guy with no muscle, no training. Okay? Take this guy and make him lean. If he was actually to put on the amount of muscle that they show in these charts, 15 to 30 pounds in the first year, and the next year 10 to 15, if the guy put on 45 pounds of muscle, in 2 years, natural, he would go from looking like normal guy that just joined the gym to the guy in the gym that everyone wants to look like, that competes in bodybuilding and wins shows in 2 years natural. In 2 years of natural training, you should look like maybe you work out. Maybe. You shouldn't expect to look like, holy cow, 45 pounds of muscle. I weighed in at 185. 185, okay? 45 pounds less than that is 140. When I did nationals in 1996 as a bantamweight, I weighed 143. Or something like that. So you're telling me that the guy could go from the way I looked at 20 years old at 142 pounds as a bantamweight to how I look like now in 2 years of natural training when I did it with performance-enhancing drugs, not natural. My biggest natural weight ever was in the 170s, not even close to as lean as I was at 185, which I had to nearly die to make. So there's no possible even 1% chance that you will gain 45 pounds of muscle naturally in the first 2 years. If you did, you're on drugs. I don't care. I will bet my life on it every single time. You will not gain 45 pounds in 2 years natural. No way. Maybe 1% of you will gain that much on performance enhancers. 1% of you. So if you say, oh, it's so easy to get jacked, I just need to go on those supplements that you guys take. You're not going to gain 45 pounds in 2 years. You're not. You will not. 1 in a million will. Of course they will. 1 in 1,000, freaks and they just 45 pounds. But in general, no one's gaining 45 pounds of muscle in 2 years, even on performance-enhancing drugs. So don't expect those gains. Get that stuff out of your head and just think, if you have extremely good genetics based on my chart, 12 pounds first year, then 8, then 6, then 4. That's 20, 30 pounds in 4 years natural. If you put on 30 pounds in 4 years natural training, you are a genetic phenom. That is amazing. Because just think, I was 142 pounds. 30 pounds more than that is 172. I won the Canadian Nationals overall drug-tested national championship title at 169. So that means in 4 years, you would have more muscle than I had as the national overall champion in 4 years of natural training. It took me 20 years to get that. I rest my case. All right. Subscribe. Click that bell button. Subscribe. Get the swoosh. Subscribe. Bell button. Watch all my stuff. GregDoucette.com for coaching. Greg Doucette IFBB Pro on Instagram. Watch one of these looped up videos here. Watch a video there. Flex for the camera. And I am out.